Hey there, Dungeon Masters. Dungeon Master Lark here, and today we're looking at how to make your battle with the SLAAD the best battle ever. Quick shout out to WAHLINK WAH, who did suggest this video, so thank you for the inspiration for this next video, and I hope you get something out of it. I hope it answers your questions. Alright, so starting off, the SLAAD are one of the most intricate creatures in all of Dungeons & Dragons. And what I have found as I'm researching these creatures is there are so many qualities to them that we want to incorporate into our combat, or really just in general our encounter, to introduce what they're really all about, what they can do, what they're capable of, and to set ourselves up for future SLAAD encounters should our party go in that direction or should our adventure go in that direction. What I've done is I've actually written a 3-act sequence that can be done all in one night featuring the SLAAD, and it's only going to take us to a boss battle with a green SLAAD, though I know that we could go to gray and death. And if you want those in the future, be sure to like this video, give me a subscribe, and leave a comment below saying what SLAAD you would like to see as a boss battle next. But for now, we're looking at a CR8 creature, the green SLAAD. For that reason, you want your party to be about level 8 to handle all the encounters we're going to throw their way. First thing we want to do is we want to prep a situation that the party can walk into or discover as they reach a new town. Or maybe even a town that they've been to before, but this situation hadn't come up in the past. For this specific adventure, the town's going to need 2 things, a druid and a cleric. You don't have to have them, but I recommend some sort of a character with some magical qualities that can introduce what had happened in the past. We should note that in this town, a couple months back, a red SLAAD had attacked the townsfolk, but everybody seemed to be okay after this attack. However, a season before that, a blue SLAAD attacked and infected a lot of people with some strange disease. Luckily, our cleric and our druid were able to clean it up, heal everybody, and take care of everyone. This is information that you're going to want to have at the ready when the party starts to ask what happened in this town. One last secret to our prep is that our green SLAAD, our boss, is actually going to be one of the townsfolk. I'm not going to reveal which one it is yet, but maybe you can catch it from one of the clues that we're going to give to the party. Alright, Act 1 we're calling Tadpoles. When the party arrives in town, or while they're in the town, suddenly a bunch of people start having this awful illness. They're feeling sick, they're feeling diseased, they're throwing up, and they all go to seek medical help from the cleric and the druid of the town, who have cure disease, cure illness. Now, they heal as many people as they can, but they're running short of spell slots. So they ask the party for help, or maybe the party decides to jump in and help themselves. Either way, we've introduced this concept of a disease. You can describe what they're using as far as their magic. Maybe they even have some salves. The cleric uses Mage Hand to bring over some potion bottles to be able to give to the people who are in need. But what is so important is that there are too many townsfolk for the party to heal, and the druid and the cleric. Too many sick people to be healed by just what's available here. This is where now the party, as they ask questions, they can hear the story from the cleric or the druid on how a red SLAAD had attacked a few months ago. And although they seemed like everybody was okay, it's all the victims of that attack that are now suffering from an illness. So it was a delayed illness. If they get into it, they can even talk about how there was another attack from a blue SLAAD half a year ago, but everyone got sick that day, and they were able to recognize and take care of everyone before anyone died. If you look in the monster manual, you'll see that when blue SLAAD attack, the people they infect get sick that day and quickly die if they're not healed. However, if a red SLAAD attacks, it takes a few months for the gestation period before the tadpoles for the blue SLAAD start to grow. Suddenly, while all this is being described to the party and everyone is frantically trying to help all the townsfolk, people's chests start to burst and blue tadpoles shoot out of their body, large creatures, and start wriggling across the ground. Some of them trying to seek a way out of whatever shelter you have these people in, some of them trying to devour the corpses of the people they just burst out of. In all the panic and all the screaming, this is our first combat encounter where the party has to try to kill all the tadpoles. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for a level 8 party. Now, to get to our second act, what we need to do is we have to create some sort of a lead. One way to do it is to have some of the tadpoles escape and leave a slimy trail for the party to follow. But if they are diligent enough to make sure they kill every single one of those blue tadpoles, then we can have the cleric have some knowledge that he may have found somehow, where he knows where the lair of the red SLAAD is. Now, they haven't sent anyone to the red SLAAD because they don't want to get anyone sick, and they got lucky last time thinking no one had gotten sick. But now we've got a party of adventurers. We see the problem the red SLAAD poses. We're going to send them out to take care of that red SLAAD. Again, if there's no blue SLAAD tadpole trails, then they will be directed by the cleric to head to the cave where the red SLAAD lives. If you haven't figured it out already from the use of Mage Hand, which clerics should not have, and the cleric somehow knowing where the red SLAAD lives, the green SLAAD, our final boss, is actually the cleric. If you want to give one more hint to the party, have him swear in a god's name, but have him pronounce the name wrong. That might be another hint that this guy isn't a very good cleric. Like, in the name of Tur. Who's Tur? Tor. Oh. Another hint for the party. Another quick thing to describe before getting to Act 2 is how fast the tadpoles are growing. Describe as they're eating the bodies of the dead, they start to grow small arms or small legs, giving the party a little bit of a hint that if any did escape, they are now probably growing very, very quickly. According to the Monster Manual, it takes 2 d12 hours for a SLAAD tadpole to grow up into a blue SLAAD or a green SLAAD, and for that reason, the party should know that there's a timer here. If they want to stay and rest for any reason or gather more information from other townsfolk, that's going to be a problem later on, as these blue tadpoles that did escape, if any did, are now going to become full-size blue SLAAD. But we won't worry about that for now. Let's get to Act 2, and in Act 2, we get to the red SLAAD cave. However the party found their way there, that's where our next scene takes place. Now, SLAAD are described as an embodiment of chaos, having come from the realm of chaos, and they have this awesome ability, telepathy, where they can communicate with the party, so you can really play up that embodiment of chaos. I would even have, when the party arrives, the red SLAAD welcome them into his cave and introduce himself as some sort of a formal gentleman, and then slowly, or if you want quickly, degrade into something a little less understandable, a little less coherent. I would find random song lyrics that you enjoy and just write those down as notes for yourself to use as answers to questions the party asks. Even if it makes no sense, throw it in there. Down with the sickness. If you've ever seen the movie The Last Unicorn, I recognize the butterfly in the very beginning of the movie is very similar to the way I imagine a SLAAD behaving. Just constantly throwing out lines of poetry, random song lyrics, sometimes giving it a very accurate answer or more than the party was expecting in an answer for questions they hadn't asked yet. And then right back to random song lyrics. Now, it's canon that red SLAAD hate blue SLAAD, so at some point I would stick in that if the red SLAAD finds out that all of his tadpoles were killed by the party, he would thank them, because red SLAAD hate blue SLAAD. He would want them all to be dead. But now he's going to have to make more. In fact, he would state that green seems to have sent him some more hosts, and now he gets to host the hosts. He's a host for hosts. He's the hostess with the most hosts. Hostess with the mostest? He's a cupcake. That's the kind of randomness that you want to throw in for the party. Now, there's no need to spell out that the cleric from the town is actually green. You can let the party continue to work that out, and at this point, they should have enough clues to at least be highly suspicious of the cleric, if not the cleric and the druid. Using the name green might describe the druid a little bit too, so we'll see what the party does with that. Now, Red's only goal, if and when this goes to combat, is to infect everyone. Because he's a SLAAD, his goal is to reproduce, even though he hates the things that he creates, but he needs to do so, both by instinct and by the orders of green. So he's going to try to hit each party member once. He won't know if they make it a saving throw, the con save, to not get infected, but his goal is to slash each of them at least one time, and if he does so, then he's going to escape. You can have a chase scene if you want. The party could kill the red SLAAD, or he could get away, but this is going to deplete their hit points just a little bit for that final battle with the green SLAAD. He doesn't have to stick around and fight to the death, but if the party kills him, good for them. All right, let's get to Act 3, Green, and the return home. When the party returns to let everyone know what happened with the red SLAAD, whether it escaped or they were able to kill it, they're going to come back to a scene of horror. In the tent or the building where all the sick people were, we're going to find the cleric eating the druid and some of the other bodies of the people who had their chests burst open. This is the final hint for the party. They should know who green is at this point. It is not the druid, it is the cleric, and he is still in his cleric form because green SLAAD can change forms. And he is eating the druid alive? Dead? Unconscious? Up to you if you like this druid character and you want to play with him more. Now, in his human form, he can use abilities like Hurl Flame. He's going to stick with the human form for now and start hurling flames at the party. That'll be your first round of combat. During this round, I also recommend that you have him start crying for help from the townsfolk. Help, help, we've been betrayed. This is going to get the townsfolk involved, and now we've got a little bit of a timer for the party to figure out how do we engage with the townsfolk and green. At this point, green, the false cleric, is going to use fear to try to create an exit. If he can get some party members to start to turn and run away, or at least pause in their advance towards him, this is going to give him a chance to work his way out into the crowd where he wants to be. In round 3, any townsfolk that were in the area that heard the screams of the cleric are going to start to approach. As they approach, the cleric, green, the SLAAD, is going to use invisibility on himself and dash out into the crowd. Or run out into the crowd. I guess he can't dash and cast invisibility. But he's going to go invisible. This is his chance to get out, and if no party member hits him, causing him to change, he's going to be hiding amongst the crowd. This is where things are going to change a little bit from a encounter that is combat into a social encounter. At some point during the social encounter, the green SLAAD is going to transform, because he can change into a medium or small humanoid, into a little girl. And he's going to grab onto the hand of one of the people in the crowd. Now, it's up to the party to use this social time to figure out who is where, and which one of these people is the SLAAD. They may also think that he's still invisible somewhere, if they haven't found some way to block off any exits. So if he's in this small crowd, which one of them is not supposed to be there? And that can be the fun of it. They can roll some investigation checks, they can roll some arcana checks, or any way to detect that the SLAAD is still here, and he's one of these people. Now, we don't want the combat to end there, so if the party fails all of their checks, we're going to give them one last hint. As they walk along the crowd, there's going to be a woman who whispers help into the party's ear, one of the party members who's investigating the different people. As they do so, they look to her and they see that her face is red, her eyes are watering, and they look down and they see the little girl crushing the woman's hand in one hand, and it looks up at the woman and goes, that's the last clue the party should need. They should know that this little girl is their target. And really the only punishment for not figuring out with their own checks is a woman got a hand crushed. So take that or leave it, however you want to do with it. All right, round 5 of combat now. The SLAAD has revealed himself as a SLAAD. He transformed into this huge green frog-like creature, and now the party gets to see him for what he really is. Townsfolk scatter wildly in all directions, maybe even getting in the way of the party or trampling through them. You might have to make some strength throws to stay on your feet, but either way, he comes out in his full form. He's probably down quite a few hit points at this point from the first few rounds of combat, but he gets to use his bigger abilities now for this last section of combat. Round 6. This combat's getting pretty long. Hopefully yours goes as long as mine is. You may have to add some extra hit points to the SLAAD like I always do. Max his HP out to be able to keep this thing running. But now the SLAAD is going to use his big spell, the ultimate wizard spell, Fireball. Not his little fire flame thing from before, but a fireball. He's going to try and cook as many PCs and NPC townsfolk as he can get in one of those circles. Have the NPCs that get hit by this go down, but not die. Have them moaning and screaming and hollering. Maybe a few of them die. But you want to give the party the idea of, should I save some of the townsfolk or focus attacks on the SLAAD? Especially if they have a healer in the party. This is going to cause them to split their focus between the party, the SLAAD, and the townsfolk who they're supposed to be protecting if they're a good party. Round 7 onward, we should get into more of the biting and the slashing from the SLAAD. It should be desperate at this point. It's going to do everything it can to bite and slash and cut, but it can't infect people like the red SLAAD can. So maybe it can detect which ones are already infected, and maybe it won't try to kill people who've been infected by the red SLAAD. Your choice how you want to track that and add that in, but it'd be a nice little detail that's subtle and maybe the party would pick up on, but have the green SLAAD go out of his way to avoid people who are infected, even though they don't know they're infected. Unless they know they're infected because they failed to save. Metagaming, it's part of the game. Have some fun with it. But for the rest of combat now, the green SLAAD is just slashing and biting and screaming. You can use the same lines that you had prepped from before for red SLAAD, where he's saying random lyrics that don't make any difference to this combat, but he's going to fight to the death because what's a boss battle if you don't get that kill? But what he should do is he should plant a little seed for the party later and say that Gray will have his revenge. Now we know that there is another color-named character somewhere in the world and that the party's going to have to deal with at another time. Maybe this is going to be your whole adventure, which would be awesome, or maybe that's something that's just going to sneak in a future area, or maybe back in this same town. Play that how you will. All right, quick recap. Act 1, party arrives, lots of problems, boom, tadpoles bursting out of chests. Crush them, find out where the red SLAAD lives. Act 2, encounter the red SLAAD, learn that green is the one behind all of this. Kill him or chase him off, whatever you gotta do, maybe get infected in the process. Act 3, meet the green SLAAD. Fight him in his tent as a cleric, find him outside as a little girl, fight him in the middle of town as a green SLAAD, and win the day. If you want more tips and tricks like this to make your boss battles the best battles ever, be sure to subscribe, like this video, it helps more people see what we're up to here, and let me know if you have any better ideas on how to run SLAAD in a smaller encounter without having to give so much detail. It feels like there's so much to these creatures that I wanted to give a little bit of everything that they can do. If you're running a longer adventure, you have more time to spread those details out. But if you're trying to do it in a one-shot, it's tricky. Let me know your ideas in the comments below, and I will play you later.